Welcome. My name is Carolyn and I am a ghost healer. For the past 30 years I've been helping dead people, the ones caught in the space between this world and the next. I've documented many of the hauntings and I've often made drawings of the souls who I've helped. I'm now ready to share these stories with you. We all have a story, and these stories belong to the lost souls who I've helped on their way. Today, I'd like to tell you a story about a ghost haunting Shepton Mallet Prison. Shepton Mallet Prison first opened as a house of correction in the early 17th century. Now, this particular area of the prison that I'm going to talk about is almost like the centre of the site, and its current form, it is a gymnasium. And, so you go up the first floor steps. It's very intense. It feels very haunted everywhere you go in Shepton Mallet Prison. I honed in on this one man, and I called him Jack, actually. I didn't get his name, but I just looked like a Jack to me, so I called him Jack. And I could see, once I started tuning in, I was looking quite closely at him, and I could see by the nature of the way he stood and his facial features that he appeared to have Down syndrome, which immediately, I just felt so sad that what on earth was he doing in prison? What on earth were people doing locking him up? So I began to see a picture of his life, and I could see him in prison as an inmate and how he always had someone to talk to. Everyone had a chat with him. He always had something to say, always very smiley, but totally institutionalized in the prison itself. And, so would need telling what to do every morning. Yeah, that's it. You put your shoes on. Yep. Now it's time to, go up the stairs. Yep. So, clean your teeth. That's great. So everything needed instruction. And the downside of this is I see that he was very easily led by people who would manipulate him, and he was very suggestible. And I began to see a film in my mind of how he ended up in prison. And I could see like a scene around industrial water, whether it was a river with industrial buildings around or a canal. And there were two guys and they did something awful, whether they killed someone or committed a pretty horrendous crime. And basically they got Jack to confess to something he didn't do. So they said, well, when the police come round and tell you this, you go, yeah, I did it. And unfortunately he just confessed to something he had nothing to do with, under the manipulation of these two nasty people. I also saw a mother of his who I would say was quite an older mum and a devout Christian, and almost as if he was from Devon. So there was sort of the landscape around where his mother was looked very Devonshire to me. And I get that she tried very hard to right this wrong in her life, but obviously didn't manage to do it, and she was quite involved with a vicar who would also support her in trying to get Jack released. But he had confessed, and I don't think people saw it any other way back then, or not for him anyway. So I felt like when he died, it was like he was waiting for someone to tell him what to do. He was so institutionalized, it was waiting. Well, off you go to the spirit world. You walk down there towards light. There was no one to tell him. There was no instinct left for him to think that was what he had to do. So without wasting another minute, I made space to help him, give him the instruction that he was been waiting for to move towards the spirit world. Just the saddest thing of all, just seeing him in a life that was locked up when he just shouldn't have been at all. So it was very nice to be able to help Jack. I gave him a name because he was so friendly. He definitely needed a name. So, he was guided onto the spirit world, and wow, what a release. Thanks for listening.